Hello, class. Welcome to this week's discussion. This week, we're talking about fundamentalist versus modernist. I am going to focus on the Scopes trial for this particular discussion. So, to set the scene, we're in a small town in Tennessee in 1925. The courthouse is bustling with anticipation. Journalists, townsfolk, and religious figures are gathered outside, fervently discussing the upcoming trial. The year, again, was 1925 in the small town of Dayton, Tennessee. It was about to become the stage for a battle of ideologies that would captivate the nation. At the heart of the controversy was the fundamentalist-modernist clash, a conflict that would be immortalized in history at the infamous Scopes trial. Inside the courthouse, you would see a courtroom packed with spectators, the judge presiding over the trial, flanked by legal representatives on either side. A young and earnest-looking school teacher, Mr. John Scopes, would be sitting at the defendant's table, while a renowned lawyer, Clarence Darrow, stands ready to defend him. John Scopes, a high school science teacher, faced charges for violating the Butler Act, which prohibited the teaching of evolution in public schools. As the trial commenced, the battle lines were drawn between traditional Christian beliefs of the fundamentalist and the emerging scientific ideas embraced by the modernist. With a bang of the gavel, the judge would call for order. His trial would proceed with fairness and impartiality. The state would present its case against Mr. John Scopes for violating the Butler Act. The prosecution, led by a passionate fire and brimstone preacher, marched fervent arguments against the teaching of evolution. The courtroom would be filled with emotional outcries and passionate speeches. The prosecutor would go on to say, "Esteemed members of the jury, we cannot allow our children to be indoctrinated with godless theories that undermine the divine creation of humanity. Evolution is a dangerous idea that threatens our very way of life, and it must be expunged from our educational institutions." On the other side, Clarence Darrow, a seasoned lawyer known for his fierce defense of civil liberties, takes center stage for the defense. With eloquence and logic, he challenges the prosecution's arguments, advocating for intellectual freedom and the separation of church and state. Darrow's arguments proceeded as such. "Esteemed members of the jury, we stand at a crossroads of intellectual progress. The right to teach, to learn, to explore knowledge must not be curtailed by narrow-minded interpretations of Scripture. The Butler Act is an affront to our constitutional rights and the freedom of thought. Our children deserve an education that prepares them for the complexities of the modern world, not one that confines them to outdated dogmas." Outside the courthouse, the town's divided. The crowds gather passionately, debating the issues at hand. Reporters huddle around, capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. As the trial continued, the entire nation turned its gaze to Dayton, Tennessee. The clash of ideas symbolized a broader struggle between traditionalism and progress, faith and reason, shaping the contours of American society in the 20th century. As the trial would reach its climax and emotions would run high, the defense and prosecution would deliver their final arguments, each seeking to sway the jury in their favor. As the jury deliberates, tensions would fill the courtroom and the nation. With the future of education and intellectual freedom hanging in the balance, the nation awaited the verdict that would reverberate through the annals of history. The jury returns the verdict, and John Scopes is found guilty of violating the Butler Act. However, the judge imposes a nominal fine. In the aftermath, despite the guilty verdict, the trial sparked a national conversation about the role of religion and science in education. It came to symbolize the enduring struggle between tradition and progress in American society. While the Scopes trial concluded with a conviction, its legacy extended far beyond the courtroom. Dayton, Tennessee returned to its tranquil existence, but the reverberations of the Scopes trial would endure, reminding us of the perennial struggle to reconcile differing worldviews and the enduring pursuit of truth in an ever-evolving society.